Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into another edition of the JP Peterson Show here on this funky Friday. Nick Geddes is off to get married. Good luck, my friend, on your nuptials journey there. And we got a great show for you today. I'm kind of solo, but not really solo. Chief's going to join us at 10:15 to talk about last night's wild ride in Vegas. It's actually in Tampa Bay, but it kind of felt like a wild night in Vegas, didn't it? Lots of scoring, lots of fights, lots of drinking going on. Yeah, it was a wild, wild night last night at Emily Arena. Fun night, entertaining game. We will get into that big time. We'll hear from John Cooper. The Chief will join me at 10:15, so we'll get into it with him there at 10:30. Our good friend David Zimroth's going to join us. DZ Hoops. Coach Z will join us. We'll talk some March Madness, maybe a little bit of NBA. Always fun catching up with Z to talk some hoops as we get into the playoff season for the NBA and March Madness, and we'll find out what's going on with some of our local programs as well at USF and Florida State. Obviously, they're not making the tournament. Miami is making the tournament, and they're currently in the ACC tournament doing their thing there. So we'll talk all things hoops and see what Z has in store for us for March Madness. At 11:05, TJ Reeves will join us, and we'll do a deep dive on your Buccaneers. Lavonte David looks like he's going to go test the free agent waters and see how much money is out there for him, what opportunities are out there for him. I always wonder with guys like that, do they really want to leave home and go somewhere else at the end of their career, or do they really want to stay here and play their entire career with one team? That's as I look through the pantheon of the NFL and the players that I've covered here at Tampa Bay, and you think of the different situations. Derek Brooks, obviously, and Rondé Barber played their entire careers here for Tampa Bay, and it has a certain feel to it, right? Doesn't it? And then Warren Sapp, obviously, the Hall of Famer. He is a part of that Tampa 2 defense that will live on in history, but has a little different feel for it because he went and played in Oakland, right? John Lynch, same thing. Obviously, a Hall of Famer known for Tampa 2, will always be associated with the Buccaneers, but he made, 4 Pro Bowls for the Denver Broncos. So, and not pejorative in any way for those gentlemen. It's just the way it worked out. Sapp's time, he got too expensive, wanted to make more money, he went. Lynch, the Bucs whiffed on that one. They thought he was, physically not able to play anymore with the neck injury, and they were wrong. And he went and made 4 more Pro Bowls. That was a whiff. That was a bad move by the Buccaneers. They should never have gotten rid of John Lynch. He should have had his entire career here and probably would still be living here and being a big part of this community. Maybe be the GM of the Bucs. Who knows? But that was a whiff. And now, but it works both ways too, but not in John Lynch's case, right? They said, we don't think you can play anymore. So it's different, right? And you would like to have Lavonte David be a Buccaneer for life. But the problem is the Bucs are in just one hell of a salary cap crunch right now. And how much are they going to be able to pay Lavonte David? He can clearly make more money if he goes somewhere else. So it's going to be kind of like with him, do I want to take the offer that the Bucs are able to afford, or do I want to, go cash in maybe someplace else? I don't think he's going to be, a $10, $15 million guy other places, but I probably, in the 7 to 8 range. What can the Bucs afford to pay him? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, even though Lavonte is not the Lavonte of old, he's still a pretty damn good football player, and he is still a glue piece to this team. And to be honest, if I'm bringing in younger players, I want a guy like Lavonte David around to mentor those players. I think the Bucs need to be careful here. Obviously, they have to get younger. They have to get faster. It's time to move on. But there are transition guys that you need to continue your culture. And I still think there is a winning culture here. It is not the culture of the Super Bowl and of Tom Brady. It is not. Todd Bowles was very honest about that, not only during the season, but certainly after the season. He said the culture has to change, and he has to be responsible for a lot of that. And he's responsible for the fact that it changed from the Super Bowl culture. And we talk a lot about culture. I think it's important. You can use different buzzwords about what it is. I think the culture comes before the winning, not vice versa. And I think when you look back at the Super Bowl situation, the the Bucks were developing a nice culture in the first year under Bruce Arians. I thought the accountability went up tremendously in that first year. And the accountability started right at the top. When Jameis Winston was given an opportunity to lead this team, Bruce Arians said, you know what? We love your effort. We love your energy here, but you can't lead if you're killing us with these turnovers. You just can't. It's not possible to do. No matter how good a guy you are, how much your teammates love you. And Jameis even admitted this. If you're not producing, if you're turning the ball over that much and killing your team, you can't be a leader. You can't be a culture setter. You can't. And that's why the Bucs went and looked behind door number 2. Tom Brady comes in, sets the culture. They go and win a Super Bowl. Now that culture is, also defined by the players that are on your team and in your locker room and how they operate, right? And one of the big reasons the culture declined last year is think about the guys you did not have in that locker room. For most, and I know Ryan Jensen was around, but he wasn't really around. He wasn't playing, right? So that's a huge personality in a culture setter that's not there. Tom Brady wasn't there. Wait, he was? Nah, not the real Tom Brady. That's the thing. It wasn't the real Tom Brady, and everybody has said that. He was distracted. He was physically not the same guy. It just wasn't him. His superpower has always been his attention to detail, his preparation, his attitude, his all in, and he didn't have that last year. He didn't. So even though you had Tom Brady physically, you didn't have the culture setter of Tom Brady, not the one that takes everybody up 3 or 4 notches. You didn't have Gronk. You didn't have JPP. You didn't have Ndamukong Suh. These guys are all culture setters. They're part of your culture. They are your culture. They are the culture. And when you don't have that type of leadership, and a vacuum exists, who steps up into that role? And I don't really think you saw guys step up into that role last year. And I think that was one of the big problems when it comes to accountability. And that's where coaches have to step in. That's where coaches have to be in that role. That's where the mix really fell short for me last year. So Lavonte David now, do you want to keep him around? Look, it's a lot of it has to do with who do you replace him with? Like, are you going to go draft the guy? Is there a veteran out there that might be a little less expensive? For me, if I'm Jason Light, I'm doing everything I can within reason to keep Lavonte David. And Lavante's not a guy that's like, I want $15 million. No, that's not him. I think he played for 10 or 11 last year, somewhere in that range. Maybe, if they can sign him to a long-term deal where the cap and put the voidable years and spread it out a little bit, he would be a priority for me because what's going on with Devin White, right? If Lavonte David goes out there and tests the free agent waters, I get it. He should certainly do that. So he has options to compare, right? What's going on with Devin White? Now, we saw what happened earlier in the week. Those Instagram posts where I don't care what you say, Devin, after you come back the second time. Those Instagram posts was, I'm out of here. And why did that happen? Was it a contract negotiation that's gone sour? My guess is that Devin White's perception and his agent's certainly perception of his value is much different than Jason Light's perception of his value. I think there's going to be a great disparity here. I think there is a feeling around the league that Devin White is among the top 10, 15 linebackers in the game. And I think when you really dig down into his play and you put on the tape and you see where he is taken advantage of in certain situations or where he is over-aggressive, you just can't justify it. You can't justify paying him on a long-term contract elite linebacker money. You can't. That's why I think he's a tradable commodity. And as much as Todd Bowles likes him, the Bucs are not going to sign him to a long-term deal because Todd Bowles likes him. Because Todd Bowles may not be here next year. In fact, there's probably a pretty good chance he's not here next year. That's just the reality of the situation. So these are the hard conversations that are had, and as much as Todd Bowles wants this linebacker, a long-term deal may not be in the offing. It just may not be in the offing. So, I can't, as much as I love Devin White, the person and the guy, there are just some holes in his game, and you can't listen when you're going to be paid elite linebacker money and be the captain of the defense and be that guy. There can't be holes in your game. There can't be holes in your leadership. There can't be instances where people are calling you out for loafing, and then you're not talking to the media. Then you're sniping on Instagram. That is not the hallmark. Did Levante David ever do that? No, he didn't. I don't. No, of course not. That's why Levante David is the elder statesman and the player that he is and has been. You don't see Levante David doing those things. So I just don't think Devin is a candidate for that. As much as I like him and love the energy that he brings in some of the splash plays, you can't have holes in your game, and he clearly does. So they've got a conundrum at linebacker right now, which is why I think you probably, if I'm the Buccaneers, I'm trading Devin White. And if there's people out there that believe that he has got that type of value, then you know what, Devin, go prove me wrong. Go prove me and get your money. By the way, love to get the bag, baby. Love that. I'm not sitting there. I'm not begrudging you that. If you can get it, buddy, when you go get it, I'll be the first one to high five you. And I think there are teams out there that will play. Maybe there's a scheme out there that he would be better in, and maybe he just needs a fresh start somewhere else. But and if somebody wants to give the Bucs a second and fifth, like was for Roquan Smith, I'm taking it. I'm taking it and running. I'm going to replace him with that second-round pick. It may not be as good a player. It may be a better player. You don't know. A player that fits better in your system and a guy that you can project to be the future leader of this defense, and another Levante David of that ilk. So I think that's your conundrum at linebacker right now, and I think that's when he goes to get his money and get his bag. I think that's where this goes. So we'll watch it as free agency creeps up here, and we're going to talk to T.J. Reeves a little bit later on. There's the Bucs are still way over the salary cap. So there are significant cuts, and unless that they can get some more people to reach their deals, which they can do, we'll see. All right, I'm going to check in with some of our commenters here. Jeremy Lau, happy Friday to you, my friend. Bucs Skull game is up early in the morning. Talk about David released by Bucs. Like I said, it doesn't mean that he's released, right? He's going to go test free agency. I think he can come back. I do think that this is not done. So and go see your value. If there's somebody out there that wants to pay him, 2 years, $30 million, hey, Levante, go get your bag, man. And that's just part of the game, folks. We got to move on at this point. We just do. Hard to get under the cap. That's for damn sure. By Dean, by SMB. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't see them unless they can find some. And I'll pay Jamel Dean. I'll pay him. I have no problem paying Jamel Dean. But I can't pay Carlton Davis $18 million a year and pay Jamel Dean $18 million a year because neither one of them can catch the dadgum football. If you're going to pay elite corner money, you got to get elite corner turnovers, right? Jamel is a great cover guy, and you need that length and that speed against some of these bigger guys because even though he's not taking the ball away, he's also not allowing 10 touchdown passes either. So there's value there. There's extreme value there. But is there elite value there? And can you afford to pay two corners that don't take the ball away? That's kind of can you go find somebody that can cover and take the ball away for that kind of elite money? I don't know. James jumps in here. Oh, he's locked talking to James. James, Brady totally screwed Bucs over by sending retirement papers. All that talk of how close relationship he had with Joel Glazer, where is that? We need to spread that cap over a couple of years. James, we finally agree on something. And I think this is something that hasn't been talked about enough, quite frankly. And I need to go into a little bit more detail on that to find out exactly. To me, the reason he did it is to leave his options open. He doesn't want the Bucs to have any control over him at all. And even if the Bucs said, hey, man, can you sign that? Do us a solid, and if you want to go play, we'll release you at that point, because they could do that. But I think if he goes plays, the cap hit comes due. So I'm not exactly sure of the logistics of that, but if Brady definitely is not going to play, he could help us out. He could definitely help us out that way. So it leaves me to believe that he still wants to leave that door open. So Yeah, one other note here, James. Yeah, you are correct, JP. You can't pay CD3 $18 million each. Draft his replacement. Yep, I think you go get that corner, and maybe it's the young kid from Alabama. All right, we will take our first break here and come back and catch up with Bobby the Chief Taylor. We'll talk about last night's overtime loss to Vegas. What a wild affair that was. Lots of fun. We are brought to you by Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com, and Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com as well. Back in 3. Championship returns this March 16th to the 19th with 4 days of golf action plus a host of fun activities that make it Tampa Bay's hottest spring sports ticket. Sam Burns, who won in a thrilling playoff last year, is looking to make it 3 wins in a row on the Copperhead. Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports.
It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. I'm running solo today, so let's hope we push all the buttons correctly and see if my man Bobby the Chief Taylor is on the line. Are you there, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. I'm like so happy when I hear the voice of the man. I'm like a little kid playing with these. You know, you just get a new computer or something, right? And you're checking out all the buttons. All right, hopefully.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And all the guys in my comment section, if you don't hear the audio or there's an echo or something, make sure you tell me because I will troubleshoot it and figure it out like MacGyver. What's up, Chief? How you doing? Have you recovered last night? I feel like I got in a fight last night watching that game.
Oh yeah. It well, you know what? In a sense, frustration had set in with this team anyway. I think from the way they were playing and having a real tough stretch of about 5 or 6 games. So, you know what? It's funny. Games like that can really kind of turn things around for you. And I thought, you know what, though, JP? I really thought they played pretty well, honestly.
I did too.
I mean, they only had 8 shots in the 40 minutes, Las Vegas, and they're a good, solid team. But you know what hurt them? The special teams.
Yep.
They gave up another shorthanded goal, which is 11 this year, which is tied for the most in the league, and the power play goal. So your special teams let them, and they were only 1 for 5 on the power play. I mean, they hardly got any shots on goal in the power play.
They didn't create any momentum with the power play. They lost momentum with the power play, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but you see, I think they're in a situation right now where when they're making their mistakes, they're really the other teams are really capitalize on them. I mean, even in those 8 shots on goal, Las Vegas had around 4, I think, wide open chances. So, but it's getting better. I mean, there's a little bit more urgency to their game. I guess I call it want. Where you want to win, you want to be the best, you want to get that puck. I want to be the guy that's going to get the puck. I want the thing there instead of standing around and waiting for George to do it.
Yeah, and I think Sergachev, that was a tough play on the shorthanded. The puck kind of skips over his stick, but man, we've seen that a lot, right? We've seen that a lot with Sergei, and then he gets interfered with or held, and you could talk about the officials on this show. That's a disaster.
Ooh.
How do you not make that call? How do you not make that call? I understand you don't want to drastically affect the game, but that drastically affects the game by not making a call in that situation. You're just giving them a goal.
That's the whole point. This is what gets me about officials. We want to be a decision of the game. A non-call is worse than a call.
Right.
Because most non-calls result in goals. That's the whole point. And in the middle of the ice, I mean, how can you not call a tripping call? I mean, it's just ridiculous. But, I mean, that's the one thing, too. You see, this is where I'm starting to wonder, a lot of intense hockey over the last 3 years, and we got to remember when they won their 2 cups, they only had 283 games, or days, rather, to win them in.
Right.
And that's a lot of intense hockey in a short period of time. And for me, if you're the last guy, you can't take chances. You got to make the safe play 100% of the time.
Yep.
And that's the thing. We still try to make that fancy play, or when we're defending in our end, we make the behind the back backhand passes into the slot rather than up the wall.
Right.
Chernak's been doing that awful lot lately, and you got to. There's certain times when you have to make just a safe play and go north and south. This east and west and back and going back. I mean, with the power play last night, I thought we played more on our end than we did in the other end because we kept passing it back. When the teams are preventing you from getting inside to get shut up, to get set up, you got to do something different. You can't keep pounding that square peg into the round hole.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they fix that part of their game. The stuff that because special teams cost them last night. The power play, Chief. To me, it's gotten stagnant where guys are holding the puck. It's kind of like in basketball when one guy holds the ball and they're not moving it. Guys aren't moving around. It's just they're searching for lanes, but they're not necessarily moving the puck or moving themselves and creating space. Is that a fair criticism? What do you think?
Oh, that's 100%. I mean, think about this. When Kucherov set up that goal to point to tie the game,
yeah.
Cooch has got to shoot the puck more because they know he's going to pass 90% of the time.
Right.
Look at where Quick was. Quick was so far out of the net because he was getting set up for Cooch for the shot because he was shooting all night long.
Right.
That point had the wide open net. Boy, I'll tell you what, you couldn't have missed that one. That was a tremendous play by Kucherov. So what we're doing, we're getting too predictable. And I keep saying, we got to get back to being predictable. I think that's the wrong choice of words.
Right.
For me, when you keep saying, because when you're predictable, you're easy to defend.
Right.
And for me, I'd like to, if Cooch shoots more, now they can't cheat on Stamkos, or now they can't cheat on the point position. I mean, the power play runs through him. His ability to pass the puck, is incredible.
Yep.
But if he takes more shots, now they've got to make sure they play him because he can really shoot.
Yeah.
For me, it's just been, if he shoots the puck, but you're right. The quicker you move the puck, the more that defensive four has to move. And the more they move, the more holes open up.
Exactly.
But if you're moving it very slowly and very methodically, they just have to stand there.
Yeah. And
because the goalie will move quicker. When you're on a power play, you basically it's 5-on-5 because the fifth guy for the defending team is the goaltender.
Yeah.
And he'll always take the shooter. So if you move it slowly, he can get over and get set for every time you give that puck to a guy that potentially is going to shoot. If you move it quickly, he has to keep moving back and forth, and that's where the hole's created.
Yeah. Bobby the Chief Taylor joining us here, but you got to love the fight back in this team, and that's what I love. They go down early. I mean, 28 seconds in, they're down 1-0 on what I guess was a bad change for the Lightning. Left Fleury out there all alone. He goes down too early, and it's in the back of the net. Vassy could do nothing about that. There's a mistake right off the bat. What the hell happened there?
Yeah, they came off the ice, and nobody on the bench came out there. Now, both either the players were and the coaches were sleeping.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
You got to get when you're on the bench. What happens is, say okay, and then they say in the next whistle, so and so and so and so. He tells you who's up. They tell you who's up next. Well, when a guy comes off, the person that you're supposed to, when you're on the bench and you're going to be up next, you have to watch the guy that you're going to replace.
Right.
So nobody did that, and no coach even shouted out about it. I mean, it was four people on the ice when that play was made, and so see little things like that. That's the mental part of the game, which isn't really sharp for them right now.
Yeah, and it seems like every time they make a mistake like that, it ends up in the back of the net.
Yep.
And I thought,
exactly.
I thought Vassy made some big saves last night. Maybe a couple that he wanted back, but or one in particular. But I think it's more about the defensive lapses that is allowing all these goals, and I think they tightened that up a little bit last night. But more than anything, I love the fight back, and I love the fight in this team. And I thought they played that 5-on-5. I thought they dominated the game. They outshot them 37-20, I think, last night, 38-21, something like that. And so 5-on-5, they were great. We talked about the power play, but coming back from 2 goals down in the third period like that, that shows great fight. And then literally and they were easy to play against since they added Janot and Asimont, and it just seems like everybody's now standing a little bit taller and like, you're not going to try us. We're going to be harder to play against. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, right on the money. And you know what? It's something like I think it's it's the old saying, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's for me. I think they say enough's enough. Okay, we got to get it going. And I think last night might be a pretty good impetus for them to really get it going because, they don't. For me, sometimes the reason why we're easy to play against is because we never pin the puck carrier against the wall. If you watch, they go back and forth, and we just try to do that. I call it the Tinkerbell move with the magic wand that's going to miraculously take the puck away from people. But you have to play the man who has the puck. If you take him out of the play, he has the puck now. Where are you going to go? Where's the puck going to go? Nowhere. Every time they took a guy out or pinned him against the wall, they got the puck.
Right.
But case in point, the game-winning goal. Sergachev wanted to do the stick check rather than just standing in front of the guy that had the puck and taking him, and they do it to us. That's the thing that people say, well, they changed the game. Well, yeah, they're supposed to you can't look at the man. You got to look at the puck. And, if you look at the man, they're going to call interference. That's a bunch of crap because they do it all the time against us, and it's never called.
Right.
And they interfere with the guy away from the puck a lot. That's never called.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, just start doing, what they do to us. And if you take the man with the puck, they constantly talk about time and space.
Right.
Eliminating time and space. Well, they all back into the middle of the ice. They just want to protect the middle of the ice. Well, that gives the puck carrier all the time in the world.
Right.
And the players today, I don't care what team you play for, offense is the best part of their game.
Yep.
Even the teams that are not going to make the playoffs, offense is their best play. The defensive end of the game is hard work and boring, and that's why. And always the good teams. That's why the teams are so good, like Carolina, like Boston.
Yep.
They play good defense.
Yeah.
And so and they limit the puck carries the guy that you want to limit the time and space with. And look, and that's the one thing. Like if all Sergich have had to do is stand in front of the guy,
right?
And he doesn't, and get on him. Don't play 4 feet back. Get on him and take him, and he's not going to make a play.
Well, everything you've talked about, Carolina put on a clinic on Sunday.
Oh.
They put on a clinic, and I guarantee you, John Cooper's sitting there going, "Guys, that's the way we played when we won the Cup. Remember when we shut people down in the third period? When we got a lead, that's the way we played. Remember that? You couldn't they didn't even get shots off. We got to get back to that. And I that was masterful the way Carolina played the other day. I was frustrated watching the Lightning play, but I was also going, that team plays hard. They give you no room to breathe. And you're right, Chief. That's the hard thing to do in the league, and it's hard and it's boring, and nobody wants to talk about it. You don't get on Sports Center doing that, right? Nobody's talking. Connor McDavid, everybody's talking about them. He ain't one squat, nothing, right? So
I know you
got to get back to playing that way, and it's not fun. And maybe that's it right there, Chief. This is not. They know they can do it. And this is not they're tired and they're bored, and it's like we're playing Toronto. Can we get on with it? All right,
yeah,
let's go. And so maybe that's been part of it. But I like the fight that I saw last night. I thought they were definitely more aggressive, and it's a move in the right direction.
It is. It really is. And I was very impressed because Vegas is a very solid team.
Yes, they are.
They don't beat you with they don't have a player in the top 50 in points.
Right.
They don't have a player like that. So they don't overwhelm you with offense. They play a very strong defensive game, and they wait for you to make a mistake, and then they capitalize on it. And they did to get that 3-1 lead, but then the Lightning all of a sudden, bang! They got their game back in those last 3 minutes of that period.
Yep.
I thought.
Yeah.
And then they really went to town, and they were harder on the puck, and they created openings, and they just the want was there, the want to win, the want to be the guy to score the goal, the guy that wants to get the puck. That was there. It was at a high level, and It was really fun to watch, and it was just reminiscent of the last 3 years when we had 2 cups in a final, and the only one thing that for me is that. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. Well, you know what? You should start doing it now because it's like muscle memory then.
Yeah. I agree.
I think that if you let this creep in too long, then it's just going to be a tougher thing to get it going. I'd like to see them start doing it. And you know what? A game like last night when it was a physical game and a frustrating game, and a lot of things didn't go your way, even though you played very, very well. That might just be the impetus for them to really change things.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Chief, before you go, everybody on the ice got game misconducts last night.
I know.
The only two that didn't were the goalies. I wanted to see a goalie fight, Chief. That was it last night. Quick and Vassy, what are you doing? It could have done a Bobby the Chief Taylor. Chief, tell them how you goalies used to fight back in the day. Everybody else was fighting. Why didn't they? They got to look down the ice and go, "Let's go, Jonathan Quick. Let's get Vassy. Let's go." That was it. That was a chance last night. We could have had a goalie fight.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore, though. The goalies are. When I remember first coming in and playing in the old Eastern League, the old Slapshot League, that movie's from there. I had over 100 minutes in penalties. How does a goalie get 100 minutes in penalties, for God's sakes?
Please explain. I never knew that.
Well, that league, everybody fought, though. If you saw the movie Slapshot, that was really what the league was about.
Oh, my God.
And everything that happened in that movie actually happened, but it didn't happen in 1 year. It happened over a period of 10 years. So all the funny stories, the guy who wrote it. But Paul Newman was in that movie.
Yes, absolutely. The Hanson brothers.
Yeah. But it was, and it was that was a wacky league. We played 72 games in 21 weeks.
Dude, and you fought all the time? Were you just battered?
Well, I was
and bruised
the biggest guy on the team at the time on our defense anyway, and they would be picking on our little guys on defense. Little guys like 5'10" or
Oh,
5'11",
my gosh.
and I'd say, I had enough of this crap, so I have to quit and help.
Oh, my God. That's great
It
stuff.
was a different game back then,
Oh,
JP.
it
Really
was.
different.
I'd pay to see that. All right, Chief, great stuff, man. Really appreciate your time, as always. I'll see you at the rink this weekend. Thanks, buddy.
You brought it, JP. Take care.
Great, Bobby the Chief Taylor right there. We got Chicago coming in on Saturday, and then Winnipeg coming in on Sunday. So now I won't be at Amalie Arena on Saturday because I'll be at the wedding. So Casey Hudson will be taking my place at Amalie Arena. All right, we're going to talk some hoops now with our good friend David Zimbrot. So we'll take a quick break here. And we'll come back on the other side and do a little March Madness. We'll check in with all of our state teams in college as well that Z knows so well. We are brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. If you're in for some weight loss as we head towards the summer months, got to get that ripped body. They got the True Body machine there that Dr. Lugo talks about, where you just get on that machine for 15 minutes, do those treatments a few times a month, and it just melts the fat away. You get the abs and everything. Don't even have to do a sit-up. What? Yep, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. All right, back in 3 with Coach Z. Stay with us. Hey, guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the sure I got all the buttons pushed right here. Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Let's talk some hoops with our man David Zimroth. Coach Z, are you there, Z?
I'm here, JP. How you
Yes.
doing?
Yes, I get so excited when everything works. You know what? There's so much to talk about here with March Madness, and I kind of not as much specific teams, but I want to tap into some guys you really know and have kind of a more macro conversation here, because I mean, you know, the guys that we grew up with, the institutions of the game, the Dean Smiths, the Mike Krzyzewski, now Jimmy Boeheim is gone. I mean,
Right.
it's a changing of the guard, and it's in North Carolina. Oh my Lord, they may not make the tournament. Be the first preseason number one to not make the tournament since NC State in '74.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. It's just a different game. We'll start with Jimmy Boeheim. And I'm not exactly sure the particulars, but what I heard is like he said, "I'll stick around if the school wants me to," and they said, "Nah, no, thank you." Seems like an unceremonious way for him to go out.
Well, you know, I've known Coach Boeheim a long, long time. And interestingly enough, he introduced me to what has become one of my dearest friends, Rick Cowie, when I first came down here 27 years ago. He handed me a piece of paper and said, "This guy will be the best friend you have." And I called Rick Cowie and his brother Bob. They all went to Syracuse together, and the rest is history. So I've got a fondness for Coach.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's possible for any person to ever do what that man did at one school. He went there as a high school recruit and never left. Played in the same backcourt with the greatest player in the history of the school, Dave Bing.
Yeah.
He never left the school. And when you talk about 60 years in one spot, people talk, well, you know, I got to the NCAA tournament 2 or 3 times in 10 years. This guy went to 35 NCAA tournaments.
Yeah.
To get win 35 times he took Syracuse to the NCAA tournament and built a nationally prominent basketball program. In a spot that most people are saying, well, Syracuse, New York. Have you ever been upstate New York? So don't know why it was handled the way it was. Don't understand why there couldn't be a succession plan in place, and just every home away game this year have been something like a testimonial to Coach.
Right.
But he's never been one for that kind of stuff, and the way it ended, I'm not so sure he would have had anything bigger anyway. He's just one of those guys. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm done. Let's go. Next part of my life.
Yeah, I guess so. He's kind of the everyman, and he went out as the everyman, no question about that. But it just kind of goes to show, and even with North Carolina and Duke and everything, how incredible these coaches were. I mean, you think, like I say, North Carolina. I mean, dude, I could go to North Carolina, recruit, and take the team to the tournament, right? That's not a big deal. Well, evidently it is. Evidently it's not that easy. Same thing at Duke and these places. And it just goes to show you what special men these icons of the game were and how hard it is, especially and obviously the game's changed. You've got to rework your roster every year, not only every year, like every month. Right? Transfers. I don't know how they do it, but the game has changed tremendously, but it's still a coach's game, right? And the great coaches consistently win, and it's amazing. I just talk a little bit about how hard it is and why the great coaches are what they are.
Well, for many, many years, recruiting was done a certain way.
Right.
And the best or the most renowned head coaches, like you've mentioned, those guys were great recruiters. People say, recruiting. Mike Krzyzewski was a great recruiter.
Yeah.
Dean Smith was a great recruiter. Jim Boeheim, those guys can recruit. Okay. Now, once their programs were intact, it was easier, sure. But all those guys, at the beginning of their careers, Dean Smith was, hung in effigy. They wanted Mike Krzyzewski out after 3 years. Jim Boeheim, I'm telling you, their first few years, all these guys, they were not immediately successful, but they recruited and kept recruiting, and boom, what happened? They built unbelievable programs.
Yep.
In this day and age, the recruiting landscape has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Now you go to a school, let's just say you go to University of Miami, and after you have a great year there and you're already on an NIL deal, well, why wouldn't you basically through a third party find out if another school's going to offer you a better NIL deal if I decide to transfer? it's like, total free agency, and it's much more difficult to navigate through. And you're going to have to manage your roster, and you got to manage it, like you said, every month. I always used to say this: your most important recruit is your current roster. You have to re-recruit your kids on a daily basis. And as soon as you lose communication with any kid on your roster, you've lost that kid.
Yeah.
And it could be a starter, it could be a sub, it could be a kid you told this to or that to, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things I was always really good at. I re-recruited and had relationships with guys, and I think it's important.
Yeah, make sure they're happy, and that's I was talking about culture in the first part of the show, and that's it. That's your culture. It's not once you get them there, your job is not done. Now you have to develop them and create a culture within your program where everybody supports each other. There's no jealousies, there's no egos. Everybody's rowing in the right direction, and it doesn't matter what sport, doesn't matter what business, right? That's how leadership works. That's how team building works, and that's how people are successful. And it's not easy in this day and age when all these kids are being pulled and offered this and offered that, and everybody's coming after your kids. It must be very, very hard to do that, but it's the good ones find a way to do it.
You bring up a good point. I've been out of the business. This April will be 20 years I've been out of college coaching.
Right.
And to this day, I get calls from guys I know in the business. Did you hear this kid might be leaving? Did you hear that? Or a parent that I know that's, my son might be leaving. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? This stuff, if I'm getting calls, could you imagine what other people are getting?
Oh, yeah.
Guys that are currently in the business.
Oh, my gosh.
So this is a nonstop situation right now. And I just think the days of loyalty and commitment, well, I'll tell you what, man, all the stuff we were raised on, it's a hard thing to maneuver through right now because of all the stuff that's allowed to happen,
And nobody talks about those values anymore. Those values are shamed upon. Now it's all just about what can I get for myself. Our culture, that's what it talks about. The music talks about it. The movies talk about it. The shows talk about it. They glamorize getting the bag and getting everything for yourself, and nobody glamorizes doing stuff for other people and being a good human being and being a giver and not a taker. And we need leaders. We need leaders to start talking about these values and why they're important, not only for us, your family, your country, your everything.
Hey, how about this? A few years back, I can remember when your graduation rate was extremely important to your job security.
Right.
Your GPA.
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time on any of your sports media outlets have you heard one thing about graduation rates, GPA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? You don't even hear about it anymore.
Well,
I'm not so sure a coach goes into a home and it's one of the top things they talk about. We used to talk about, you get a degree from Florida State, you get a degree from Georgia, you get a degree from University of South Florida. These are the most, valuable degrees. This school's this. You don't even need to talk about that stuff anymore.
Right. Yeah. It's almost.
Now they want to know how much am I going to play? How am I going to be utilized? What's the schedule look like? So it'd be nice to get back to those things because I think they're extremely important.
Yep.
Especially if my child was being recruited and my child was recruited, I think it is important to know about the degrees and the job opportunities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I don't know how prominent that is anymore. I really don't.
No, because it's immediate gratification, and they don't want to. They're all going to the NBA. They're all going to the NFL. So what does school matter? That's all they think about. We're talking to Coach David Zimroth, who did coach at Georgia and FSU and USF, and coached in the NCAA tournament. So let's turn our attention to March Madness. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't been following it much. I know Miami's in the mix. They're still in the mix in the ACC tournament. They won a close one last night over Wake Forest.
Right.
I know Coach down there, and he's doing a hell of a job. What's Miami's prospects in this tournament, you think?
When I was looking at, all these experts about 1 seeds, 2 seeds, this and that, I always felt that in the NCAA tournament, if you had multiple scoring options, you were a big time threat, and that if you could defend a little bit, you could win a tight game per se. I look at Miami as having 5 guys on the court at one time that can all score.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be games that are close. There are going to be games they're not shooting well. But I'm going to tell you something. They'd be a dangerous team to play in the NCAA tournament. You're talking about the ACC. Duke. Everybody was all over John Shire at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Now the way his team's playing, they'd be a very dangerous team to play in the NCAA tournament. If they wind up winning the ACC tournament, they will have gone into the NCAA tournament like 10 wins in a row, 11 wins in a row. So another team that has multiple scoring options. University of Houston been, they're ranked number 1. So some of the stuff I say, it's obvious, but they can put the ball in the hole. They defend. They can play a lot of different ways. They're well coached. They've got, a senior in Sasser that can make big shots at the right time. So they're a dangerous team. And then you got your traditionals. Your Kansas is always going to be there. UCLA's got a really good team again. They talk about Bama. Bama's up and down. They got these problems off the court, and they got situations that they're almost incomprehensible to read about. But they put it all together. They're a team that can go a long way in the tournament. And then I don't think you can ever count out Gonzaga. They're a tournament team. They've been there before. They've got all kinds of options. They're experienced. I would never count out Gonzaga ever.
Okay, we'll get you on next week when the brackets come out, Z, and we'll break it down even more. All right, so I want to talk real quick about some of our other programs here. USF, another tough season for Brian Gregory, but he's got a contract extension. I don't know where they're at with recruiting. Is there what's the status of that program right now?
Again, I was thinking about this morning and talked a couple the contract extension, I don't know what it entails.
Right.
I think they've kept it pretty quiet in terms of, at the end of his regular contract, which is this year, will there be a buyout? I mean, I don't know how his thing was restructured, and that's not from my knowledge.
Right.
But if you look at the way they ended their season, in a year they had to be competitive and good, they end their season in bad way. They go to Wichita State, they get, blown out. They go into the tournament, and they get blown out by a team they swept.
Yeah.
Those lasting impressions go a long way, especially when you've got to show improvement. They've had an extreme amount of roster turnover over his tenure. They've had staff, movement in his tenure. There's a lot of things going on at USF that I don't know what can change if he stays, and I don't know what would change with the new person coming in. You look at the last 20 years, they've had 17 losing seasons. Those are just facts.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And I'm not sitting here saying we, overtook the world of basketball when I was there. But I will tell you
you're
this,
winning 20 games a year.
17 losing seasons in 20 years for a basketball program.
Yeah.
Now going through another conference realignment, those are very difficult things to overcome. Mm-hmm. So if they do make a change, and I never like seeing anybody lose their job. I've been there. It stinks.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference between losing a job when you're making $1.5 million and then when you're making $75,000.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a big difference.
Big difference.
But, if they make a change, they need to have in stone what the profile is of who they want and whether that profile can, be attained. They need to have it down. It should be something they've been working on all year.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it an assistant coach? Is it a head coach at a current school doing well? Is it a retread? I personally think it's the worst thing they could do to have somebody come in. Stan Heath was fired at Arkansas. They brought him in. Brian Gregory let go of Georgia Tech. I'm not so sure they need to go that direction if they make a move. They need to go with something new, something exciting, somebody that's going to really take over the community with their enthusiasm. I think a younger person in the business that's been successful, either at a low major school as a head coach or at a high major school as an assistant. I think those are things that should be looked at, and they've got a lot of stuff to deal with.
Yeah,
okay?
They do. I'm not
see,
saying I'm not saying anything, and I'm not pushing anybody out the door. But I have heard the name Rick Pitino thrown around. I know he's up at Iona. They're in the championship game, I believe. This if I'm not mistaken. So I've heard the name thrown around.
Well,
That's all
people
I'm
are going
saying.
to throw around his name, JP,
And he's
because
a member out at Old Memorial.
Rick Pitino.
He's here
if
a
I know
lot.
anything about Rick Pitino, Rick Pitino's not ever going to come to USF.
Mm-hmm.
The league that's going to be the new league affiliation in terms of who's coming in, who's leaving. I don't think that is something Rick Pitino would be excited about. Okay, the days of it's Tampa, good, great city, great climate, good salary. Those things, a lot of places have that. Okay, a lot of places all over the country have that. Okay, what exactly is the number one selling point going to be to a prospective recruit at USF? Is the league something you can really sell?
No.
If it was me, here's what I would sell. If I'm sitting in J.P. Peterson's house and say, JP, let me tell you something, son. With the new league reconfiguration, we got to beat one team to win this league every year, Memphis.
Yeah.
With you, we can do it. With this guy, we can do it.
Right.
We could be in the NCAA tournament. We could do what Jose Fernandez has done in women's basketball.
That's right.
Okay? Now, is that what a kid wants to hear? He's going to have to hear it because that's an actual selling point. Okay? There needs to be a really good NIL, situation in place here. Can that be attained? I don't know. Yeah. I know what I would do if I was coaching at USF, and I know the people I would contact to see if they'd be interested in be a participant in that. Okay, no different than Miami's done.
Right.
Because as in the transfer portal, Tampa could be a very appealing place for a transfer.
Heck yeah.
From Omaha, Nebraska, from North Dakota, this could be a pretty good, situation for a kid. But if you don't have the NIL, why would you come here?
You got it. Yeah, you got to have it. And there's certainly money here to be made, but you got to win games. And they got a beautiful. The Yingling Center's been upgraded. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great barn. I think it's got some nice bones. It's kind of intimate. But you got to win. You got to win, man. All right, quick. What's that?
One of the things I was going to tell you. Last thing, regardless of NIL, transfer portal, et cetera, whoever is the coach at this school, present or future, there needs to be an incredible understanding of the state of Florida.
Right.
And there needs to be a network that's in place within this state. Because at the end, that is what your number one asset is.
Getting players.
And I don't see that happening right now.
Yeah, you gotta get somebody that's in tune with all these high school coaches here, because there's talent in Florida. I mean, it's not like other places. I get it, but if you don't need 50 guys, you need 3 or 4, and if you can keep them, in some proximity, the guys around it. But see, you've done this. You knew every high school coach. This is pre-cell phone too. You knew everybody's phone number by heart. And you knew every one of them. You were out there beating the bushes 24/7. They walked in. They knew who you were right away. You were always around. They knew who you were. They knew about the program. They knew everything before the thing even started. They knew you were coming if they had a kid. It doesn't exist anymore. Certainly not at USF. No. So I mean, it just doesn't. It just doesn't. And that's part of it. You got and yeah, they've hired coaches that have no relationships to anybody in Florida. Bananas. And speaking of that, rough year for Leonard Hamilton at FSU. I know I'm keeping you way over time, but I mean, I'm not. What is he? 75 now?
I think he's going to be 75 this year.
Yeah, I mean, love the man. His record. I mean, what do you say about his tenure here? But man, it's is it time for a change? Nobody's pushing him out the door. I'm talking about, is Leonard thinking about retiring? What is that situation? What's the FSU situation?
I've known him a long time, but I don't have that kind of relationship with him to know that stuff. His top assistant coach and I are pretty close, and I never broach a subject with him.
Right.
But I'll tell you this: greatest tenure in the history of the basketball program, no doubt, in terms of longevity.
Amazing.
But I'm one of these guys, JP. When I was in the business, and Leonard Hamilton, when he was first in, there was no money to be made. You didn't make any money. Yeah. So you did anything you had to do to be employed, and you just hopefully get a raise. the money that these guys have made in the last 10 to 15 years, it is so off the charts. You literally don't ever have to walk out of your house again. Okay? I'd give anything to have that situation.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So he's 74, 75 years old. He's probably got a ton of money and financial wherewithal to just say goodbye.
Take a break, dude.
So I don't know why he's going to continue doing it. Don't know what his goals are.
Man.
I just don't see a man with that kind of success after going 9-23 walking away from it right now. I think he'd probably like to walk out on a little better note. Okay. And I think if he is the kind of recruiter I know he is, he's going to do something special here in the spring and come back with a pretty darn good roster and then have a good year next year. And then I would then think, that'd be it. But I don't know how the new AD is there. I don't know any of that stuff.
Right.
And,
yeah.
That matters. These are tough situations. And they're tough for his own staff. I mean, if the guy decides to leave, he's got a staff and families and who knows.
All right, last question, Gators. What's going on with them? Kind of a middling season, bad injuries. What's happening there?
Horrible injuries.
Yeah.
They lost a big set. They lost their best player. I tell you what I was impressed with, though. Since they lost that best player, Castleton,
yeah.
I mean, boy, they've been competitive.
Yeah.
They went to overtime the other night. The guy obviously can really coach, Coach
yep.
Golden.
Yep.
They're going to have to hit the recruiting trail really hard. They're going to have to do what most every other coach has done there, and go and have just high school All-Americans. In my opinion, I don't think you win in the SEC without great players that are pro potential. I just don't think you can do it in that league. I was in that league as a young assistant coach in its heyday in the early 80s, and it didn't change. That's a professional basketball league. You better have pros in that league, or you're not going to compete. You'll have good games, bad games, but you're not going to compete for championships in that league without professional talent. Yeah. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's the SEC, it just matters more, and it pays more. Ain't no doubt about it. All right, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you at DZ Sports. You got the best training camps in the business. Tell everybody what's up.
Well, the best way to reach me about camps and training is at dzimroth@brighthouse.com. Mm-hmm. Anytime you email me, I get right back to you. We got camp coming up June 5th through the 9th and July 10th through the 14th. Those spots get filled up quickly. So if you're interested, please give me a shout. And like you said, I'm a new grandfather for the first time. So
congratulations.
A lot of exciting stuff going on.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I saw the pictures. Fantastic. Well, listen, it's always great to have you. So next week, I'm solo next week, so I want you sitting next to me. Bring you in the studio. Bring the grandson. Is a girl or boy? Granddaughter. Let's get her started early in the media business. So come on in.
Let me know, man. I'll
sit
be
next. We got to break down the brackets. We got to do all that next week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. Pick a day, and we'll have some fun with it for sure.
You got it, my friend.
Thanks, Z. Appreciate it. Always the best, man.
Anytime. Thank you.
Good stuff. The coach, David Zimroth, right there. All right. We'll take a break here, and we'll come back on the other side. And TJ Reeves is going to join us. So we're going to get into football in our second hour. And we got lots to talk about with the Bucs and the NFL. Quick break. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you've been involved in an accident or your car was totaled and you didn't get what you think you deserved, you could have a case. Give them a call and find out. It's free call, free consultation, and they will call you back. That's the good part about it. Just contact them through the website, jeeveslawgroup.com. Back in 3, TJ Reed. The boys are back. The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship returns March 16th to the 19th with 4 days of incredible golf plus a host of activities that make it Tampa Bay's hottest spring sports ticket. There is more to the Valspar than just great golf. It's the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Snake Pit Club, accessible by premium tickets, and other great venues throughout the course for those with ground tickets. And new in 2023 is the Rooftop, a new prestigious venue at the 18th green with music, food, and fun. Plus, you never know who you're going to see at the Rooftop. Tickets are on sale now at ValsparChampionship.com for all tournament days, both grounds tickets and premium ticket options. You don't want to miss the 2023 Valspar Championship. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock.
This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Waiting on TJ Reeves to jump on with us. In the meantime, I will tell you about the Valspar Championship coming up next week. They have the fun run coming up on Sunday. Tiki and Rondé will be leading that, and Rondé will be honored on Thursday. That's going to be a hell of a good time. We'll be out there for that in the afternoon, hanging out at the rooftop. He'll be there. Lots of his teammates will be there all weekend long at the rooftop. The rooftop is going to have if you go to ValsparChampionship.com, they've got a schedule of celebrities that are going to be upstairs. So check that out. Gronk is going to be there on Friday with Colt Knost from CBS spinning the tunes. That's going to be a hell of a party at that with Gronk. Golf. I get dry mouth just thinking about it. So that's going on. They've got four or five now of the top 15 players in the world. Got Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Justin Rose just committed as well. Luke Donald is also coming, the Ryder Cup captain. Sam Burns is on his way, and they'll probably get a lot more commitments today. The 5 o'clock is the deadline, or till you finish your round at the Players Championship. We're going to check in on the players. Watching the players a little bit yesterday, and a couple of great rounds yesterday. And I was watching a little bit of Justin Thomas, and he struggled a little bit yesterday, no question. So we hope those guys make a little bit of a run here. Victor Hovland now is at 8 under par through 12. Not as easy as it was yesterday. Chad Ramey shot 64 yesterday. He's not teeing off until 107. Colin Morikawa shot 7 under yesterday, and a really, really good day, 65. He tees off at 12:45. So, yeah, the early guys yesterday definitely had the better of it. Taylor Pendrith at 5 under par. And Ben Griffin now has the lead at 8 under par through 14. He's 3 under today. And Hovland is 5 under today. So a little bit more difficult today. I think the wind's starting to blow there a little bit at the players. But we'll certainly look forward to the Valspar next week. All right, let's bring in our good friend TJ Reeves, who joins us now. What's up, TJ? How are you, partner?
Hey, thank you for bearing with me. Crazy time because I've been on a college basketball show doing that live. And just got here and got to you and ready to talk about whatever you like. I know you were just talking about the Players Championship. What's up with the Lightning not being able to win overtime games anymore? Yeah, I'm not telling you anything you haven't already talked about. Bucks, whatever you want to talk about.
The game last night was wild. I mean, like when I was doing a post-game show with Brian last night, I was like, this was like a night in Vegas. There was lots of scoring going on. There was lots of fighting going on. There was drinking going on. There's a lot of people yelling and screaming. It was like a club. I mean, when point scorers with 27 seconds left to tie up the game. That place with the freaking roof flew off it. It was crazy. And then the overtime, they go back and forth. And TJ, were you watching the game last night?
I was not able to see the end. I've seen the highlights. I saw how it ended.
So you probably didn't see this play. So in overtime was great. It was back and forth. They weren't holding the puck like normal now. Now one team just tries to, hold the puck and then take the last shot like a basketball game. It's awful. But this one was up and down. And Kucherov makes a move on the interior, dekes two guys, and he's coming in on Jonathan Quick, and he's about to go top shelf, far post, and then the roof actually would have come off, but he just missed it, and then they go down and they score. So, yeah, suddenly they can't win overtime games, but they played a lot better last night. And no one wants to fight Tanner Janot. We figured that out. His knockout of Stillman last week was like Tyson's knockout of pick a guy.
Michael Spinks, right?
It's like nobody wants to go near him. Nobody wants to fight him. It's crazy.
And I thought it was interesting because that's gotten a lot of buzz, that fight last week, and you suddenly get the reputation of, okay, nobody is going to want to mess with him.
Yeah.
And you sometimes need that. It needs to be part of the game. And in particular, if you do something to one of the Lightning guys, that's the guy, either he or Maroon, that you're going to have to deal with. And you know that. So that's an interesting aspect of the game. It's not as prevalent anymore. I mean, I still go back to the 90s. You and I both go back to the 90s, where when Wayne Gretzky was scoring all those goals all those years, nobody would ever touch him. You know why? Because Marty McSorley was on the ice all the time with Wayne, and if you did anything to Wayne, Marty McSorley was going to come beat the crap out of you with those old LA King teams. It was just known. So nobody was ever going to take a run at Wayne Gretzky or cheap shot him or hit him from behind or anything for the fear that McSorley was going to be like Hulk Hogan with the leg drop, brother, on you. So that, I mean, I'm going back to the 90s, but that's kind of the same mentality that you might have. So hopefully the hockey team gets it back together. I know you want to talk some Buccaneers. I'm here at your disposal, whatever you need.
Let's get into the Buccaneers because Levante David is now going to hit the free agent market, which is weird, right? And I was talking in the beginning, and you'll be a great historical reference for this as well. I would think Levante, knowing him as I do, and you can comment on this as well, would love to stay here. But the Bucs just don't have money right now. They just don't have any money, especially to pay, big chunks this year. Now they can spread stuff out over a few years, but obviously Levante's not going to play that much longer. They could still sign him to a 3-year deal and void the last couple of years. So it's doable. But there may be a team out there that just loves Levante David and wants to pay him $10 million a year again. So he's going to go see what's out there. But, when John Lynch was here, he didn't leave on his own. John wanted to stay. It was the Bucs that decided he couldn't play anymore, and they whiffed. They were wrong. They thought his neck injury was debilitating, and they were wrong. He went and made 4 Pro Bowls with Denver. That was a whiff by the Buccaneers. Now, Derek Brooks, he was probably at the end of the line. He was a warrior, but Derek Brooks never played for another team. Ronde Barber never played for another team. Sapp did. Lynch did. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just different, right? And I think Levante would like to finish his career with the Buccaneers because it just feels different. You know what I'm saying?
And look, I love that guy. I sat and did radio shows with him week after week for the better part of, I think, 3 seasons. It was at least 2 seasons. It may have seemed like 9 seasons with how much the Buccaneers were losing in the 2010s. But you got to give him a lot of credit because he soldiered on here when he potentially could have been an unrestricted free agent, and he agreed to a couple of extensions to stay here, loves this area. I think he's in that category like you're talking about with a Brooks or a Barber or an Allstott that wanted to be here and only here. And just because he's a free agent, it doesn't mean that he might not come back around. But if somebody, now that he hits the open market, if somebody is going to offer him 10, 12 million, 15 million guaranteed to sign plus a salary, the Buccaneers can't compete with that. So is there a hometown discount? I don't know that offer's out there. That's what your point is. I don't know that it's out there.
Yeah. And that's why guys go and test the market to see what's out there. By the way, Animal, I believe it's Joe F. as well, says, "Hey, TJ, can I get a birthday shout-out?" Yes, you can get a birthday shout-out. Happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday.
Yes. Happy birthday to the Animal. The Animal goes way back to like the 80s and being around sports radio and all of that. So, Animal, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you, brother. So, the curious case of Jamel Dean. the Bucks want to keep him, but they're already paying a premium corner in Carlton Davis. They made that commitment last year. And I love Jamel Dean, and his value is in covering guys and keeping them from getting big touchdowns, these big receivers. He doesn't take the ball away. We know that, right? But there's value in a guy that's not giving up 10 touchdowns to big receivers. And in this league, there's a premium on corners who have the wingspan and can run like Jamel Dean. That's why he's going to get paid. Is there any way the Bucks can work out a long-term deal with him? Because I think he wants to stay as well.
That's the key with the whole franchise tag thing is you reserve him and then you work out the deal to lower the number. That's the same thing they did with Chris Godwin a couple of years ago. So let's see. Again, you don't have enough money to do all this. And I just saw while we're talking that the report is Vita Vea has restructured his contract as well. That's the first time seeing of this is a few minutes ago. Again, for the audience, as we're doing this live with JP, I've been in the college basketball world for the last 90 minutes doing a live YouTube college basketball show. So the Vita Vea restructuring allegedly frees up another $9 million under the cap while you're trying to figure out who you can keep. And I'm sure part of that is how do we fit Jamel Dean under if he's a franchise player versus working a long-term deal because you're trying to figure that out. And the key part of this, and forgive me because I don't know the answer. Does the free agency period begin Monday? When does the tampering begin? Monday, Tuesday? Whenever that's about to begin, you can still re-sign your own guys. You can make moves and re-sign your own guys right now. So teams are scrambling for salary cap relief, for money to spend by restructuring deals because you can still figure it out with a Jamel Dean or a Levante David or whomever you're trying to restructure and keep. Because keep in mind, this is awful. I mean, for some, I don't think there was a conversation with Donovan Smith because the price tag was too high. It was not going to be, hey, you're going to come back and play left tackle at 1/3 the money. I don't think that was a conversation. But you might come to another position player and say, we would like for you to be here, but we've got to restructure your deal, and you're now making half of what you made. Maybe we guarantee your 2023 money, but you're now making half of what you made to guarantee that you're still here. And maybe we give you a little signing bonus or whatever. Otherwise, the alternative is we've got to make a move and get rid of you. Some of that is going on all over the NFL right now, those ugly conversations, JP.
Yeah, and the thing with Donovan Smith is you have options there, right? They move worse to left tackle, which is not an easy thing, but when you're the best right tackle in the game and you're as athletic and young as that guy is, I wouldn't put anything past him. He's a phenomenal football player.
And he's costing, this is your point, he's costing 1/3 or 1/4 and your salary cap strapped. So now he's costing 75% less to play that position at a high level. You need that under the cap right now.
And you've got two right tackles on your roster already in Robert Hainsey and Luke Gedeke. They both played that in college and were very good at playing right tackle. And with Jensen back, Hainsey can either play left guard for you or right tackle. So you've got some, you can absorb that, but you don't have anybody play corner. There's nobody stepping up to play. Zion McCollum ain't taking over Jamel Dean's, at least from what I saw last year. And guys grow, and you better hope that he grows and gets better. I think, a guy plays at Sam Houston State. He must have come in here and just like, what is going on here?
Of course.
Like, we had three.
Are you saying it's slightly different, Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean playing at Auburn in the SEC than playing at Sam Houston State, and now you're running around covering NFL guys? Yeah, I think that's exactly what you're saying.
The complexity of the defense is, my God. It goes from, elementary school to a master's degree. So it's tough. It's tough. So I expect him to improve, but I don't want to throw him out as a starting corner. So clearly going to draft somebody, but Jamel Dean is a guy that we'd love to have back. I think the real linchpin in all of this stuff is Devin White, because he's got $11.7 million salary this year, and that's the cap hit. They're talking extension with him. Whatever those cryptic Instagram posts were last week, they weren't, hey, I'm looking forward to staying here for long term. That's definitely what it wasn't. Okay, we know that, despite what he said a half hour later when he got a call from his agent and the Bucks.
Right.
So, but
the only thing he didn't post was him being on one of his horses, like with the cowboy hat, with the silhouette in the sunset, waving goodbye. He did not post that. You're correct on the social.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's going to be another very, very difficult conversation for the Buccaneers. And they've got issues at a lot of different places, but inside linebacker is a huge, huge question mark right now.
Yes. And so you've got to decide, is he worth on giving him a new deal, $100 million, $125 million? And I think it's a very valid point. Levante David has been a tremendous mentor for him and helping him on the field, off the field, in the film room, on the practice field. That is a Batman and Robin type situation. So, I mean, if Levante is not here, that is a concern for a lot of reasons, including in tandem with Devin White, my friend. I think so.
Yeah, and Levante, he's been a great mentor for him. And, this defense has got a lot of question marks. And what are they going to do at defensive end, outside rush linebacker? You want some of these guys to step up, JTS, and they need to step up right now. But Nassib is a free agent, right?
Correct.
Nelson is a free agent. So, and they don't have a whole lot of money. And this is like, people are asking me in the chat right now, like, well, why can't we just get under the cap and they'll go get some guys? We're taking a $35 million dead cap hit for Tom Brady. Okay.
Correct.
$35 million. And there's not a lot of wiggle room right now for the Buccaneers. There's just so many things that they can't do, right?
Yeah, and just to put it in perspective, I believe the overall cap, it's all monopoly money and everybody's eyes start glazing over on all the money, but I believe it's like a $260 million cap. So a $35 million hit is more than 15% of your cap that's not playing for you from one guy.
Yeah.
So that's your point.
Yeah.
And so you've got to manipulate and figure that out. That's why you're going to probably go much less expensive at quarterback. Let's just be realistic right now at this point. All this fantasy land about, I don't know this. Again, I keep joking with you. I don't sit and have lunch with Jason Light and the Glazers. Believe it or not, even though I work for the team and the radio broadcast, they don't consult me on everything they're doing. But when you're seeing all this stuff about Lamar Jackson and where he's going, the Buccaneers don't have $30 or $40 million, 20, 30, 25, 30 million to put under the quarterback category under the cap right now. That's why it makes more sense with Kyle Trask and a less expensive veteran, if that's the route you're going, to be less expensive at quarterback. The quarterback price tag is ridiculous. Yeah. So I realize it's great for conversation, but I mean, realistically, they don't have the cap room for something like that.
They just don't. And frankly, I don't think it would be a good fit here anyway. But I do think drafting a quarterback is an option because those guys are really, really cheap. Obviously, the top four guys, they have no shot at. But guys like Hendon Hooker come into the conversation. Some other guys out there. Look, there's Brock Purdy's out there to be had, right? There's Jalen Hurts to be had in the second round. Anybody, you cover a lot of college football. You call games. Anybody out there floating your boat?
Well, I mean, there's lots of questions about Hooker off the knee injury, so that would be interesting. Off the top of my head, with college quarterbacks, you would start looking at some Western quarterbacks and that kind of thing. Who are some guys in the second round? Who are some guys in the third round? But again, that's where you got Kyle Trask a couple years ago, is in the second round. He's very affordable.
What do you think, Trask?
I have no problem with having an open competition with he and a veteran. Make him earn it, give him the best available opportunity, put him behind the first string offensive line in the preseason, let him throw to Mike Evans as much as he's going to be out there, or Chris Godwin as much as he's going to be out there, with Cade Otton and Rashad White, and let's see what he can do in the preseason at the beginning of the year. You have to find out at some point if he can play. So why not find that out right now? And I think we may be headed down that road. And somebody's saying there in the chat about the Vikings having cut Adam Thielen today, two-time Pro Bowler, iconic guy in their community. He's beloved, but this is the reality of the salary cap. You cannot keep everybody. And that may have been one of those where they're coming to him on, we can keep you with a pay cut. And his thought is, I'll test the free agent market. Let me go test the free agent market. Tough decisions.
Yeah, let me throw a little something in there for fans out there. General managers don't just think of this year, right? They think 2, 3, 4 years down the line. So every general manager, and so do agents, by the way. This is my main point. Agents know that too. The salary cap went up $25 million this year to roughly $225. It's
$225.
Yeah, $225. It's roughly going to go up $25 million almost every year, maybe more, because the TV money doubled the last CBA. So that's a year ago, and that money jumps up each and every year, and the players get approximately 50% of that. So if it jumps by, if it doubles, the salary cap eventually will double as well. So we're going from 200 million to 350, 400 million in the next 10 years. So it's going to incrementally go up. These agents are telling their players, don't take any hometown discounts. Now is the time to cash in because the cap's going up and these teams are going to start spending like drunken sailors. Now the Bucks can't do that because they spent like drunken sailors the last 3 years and pushed everything down the road. So they're not, but it will give the Bucks chance to recover faster than normal because it's going up. So that's a good thing. So you would have liked to have done what the Bucks did and won a Super Bowl and put that in the bank. And now you can rebuild faster. So my bigger point is, the Jamel Deans of the world, the Levante Davids of the world, the Devin Whites of the world, their agents are telling them, cash in. Let's hit free agency. Let's go see what's out there, right?
Right, and in Devin White's case, he's not a free agent. It's the fifth year of his contract, so he would not be able to cash in until next year, no matter what. And yes, I mean,
but his situation is the Bucks are trying to rework a deal.
Correct.
So his agent is saying, okay, whatever they're offering you, trust me, next year we're getting 10 times more.
But that's a dangerous game to play too, though.
Exactly.
Because if you have a subpar year, I won't even say bad year. If you have a subpar year and you're now a free agent, who's going to give you at that position? Who's going to give you that kind of money as opposed to the team right now that you're with, who for salary cap reasons wants to lower your cap number and maybe willing to negotiate more? This is the game. This is what you're illuminating, the back and forth on these negotiations and how you work these different deals. But it will be interesting in the next few days. And we should say this, the system is designed. I know we went through a miserable period for a decade where the Buccaneers couldn't figure it out, firing coaches, couldn't reload on players. And here's another thing that happened. We kept bringing in a new coach who would get rid of a lot of the guys that you previously had. Right. And so you were almost starting over, including under the cap. Right now, you still have a lot of pieces. Yep. You've just got to work under the cap for this year, bite the bullet on some stuff, and you will be better off next year to spend in 2024. Like you just said, big picture, you're better off to spend in 2024 because of what you're having to do this year. But you still have a Carlton Davis, Shaq Barrett off of injury, Vita Vea in the middle, Devin White, it would appear, here for a fifth year, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, K-Dot, and Rashad White, a Jensen in the middle, a Wirfs at left. You've got a lot of pieces with the current team to get younger and be ready with the cap for 2024.
No, I keep looking at the Eagles as the template, right? And what did they do? They kept the Fletcher Cox. They kept a Kelsey at center. They kept these older guys. Those were the holdovers that mentor and keep the culture together, right? Keep the culture together. Keep those guys. That's what I was making a case in the opening of the show. That's why Levante David becomes a priority for me, because he, to me, is one of those glue guys that I want to mentor. I mean, if they happen to trade Devin White and we bring in, get a second round pick and you bring in his replacement, I want Levante David teaching him how to play linebacker, right? And you want him as the captain of your defense. You want him as a culture setter. So those are glue guys that you'd like to keep, especially if you can get a little bit of a discount.
Amen.
Right here.
Amen. So, all these people that are playing fantasy football and fantasy GM with, well, trade Mike Evans while you can get something for him. All right, so two things on that. Mike has got 4, maybe 5 years still at an elite level. Is he 29? I don't even know that he's 29 yet. I think he's still 28, even with all of his years in the league. Mike has still got 3-4 elite years left, and he's going to attract defense and open up things for other people with what he does for those next 3 or 4 years.
You save nothing on the cap if you cut him or trade him.
Correct. And the other thing is you need players like that, and he's yours. Don't just get rid of it. No. So that's the point you're making, because he makes everybody around him better as a threat, and he is a guy that puts in the work. You don't get rid of Mike Evans for that very point that you're making. So
listen, how are the Bucs success? How do they continue to win? Why they rebuild? Well, it's simple, like you said, keep those guys. But the key deal is having a cheap quarterback, right? It's having a cheap quarterback. So you didn't hear me ask you this, and I know you're not in the meetings, but you watch and you're out there. What do you think of Kyle Trask? You've seen him in training camp, you've seen him in practice in preseason. You saw him for a few series in Atlanta, which could have been a whole game. It's a whole nother argument. What do you see? What do you like? What do you not like?
I see enough that says to me, give him the opportunity. After playing out of the SEC, in a high-powered offense. And whatever the questions and concerns have been the last couple of years, you have to find out if he can play. I think he's got the arm. I don't think the arm is a question. Mobility, I think he can move around some, which gives you the chance. He's not a running quarterback, but he's mobile enough to step up and step around and avoid the rush and help you and do things with his feet that you haven't done with Tom Brady, who's the GOAT. We understand that, but Brady moving out of the pocket to do anything just wasn't a real great option. It wasn't even a good option a lot of the time. Get back to some of that. I think he will be fine, if not good. Give him the opportunity to see what he can do. And ultimately, if he's not good, if he's playing poorly, then there's your decision at a low cost, like you're saying. You try it, and if at a low cost it's not working, go to the veteran that you have him competing with and see if the veteran can win games who's at a low cost. But you've asked me this. I will continue to say it. I have no problem with trying it with him. I think he can make some throws and make some plays, and let's see how it develops. Again, I'll rattle them off. Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts. Who am I leaving out? Tua, Joe Burrow. What do they all have in common on the conference that they played in and then stepped into the NFL and being able to throw the football in different teams in different situations? Yeah. Oh, they all played in the SEC. Yeah. That's where Kyle Trask played and threw over 40 touchdowns and got his team in the title game. Now you're making me sound like a Gator homer, and I'm not even a Gator homer. I have love for the Buccaneers. He's an inexpensive option. Give him the chance to compete for the job. That's what I say.
Just because his name sounds like trash doesn't mean it is. Okay.
There's the Seminole in you coming out in that, by the way.
Hey, he had his turn at us. We took it on the chin. So the guy can play. He's not trash, and he can play. And I want to see him get an opportunity. And I was begging to see that against Atlanta, but Tom Brady had to play, I guess. So look, I'm excited to see him. I would like to see him draft Hendon Hooker. Everybody knows that. I love Hooker, and just having that name alone to just use with headlines and everything else is, it's a writer's dream. It's a radio guy's dream. So look, I like the kid. Have you covered any of his games, Hendon Hooker? In Tennessee?
Hooker, Tennessee, no. I have not covered a Tennessee game in college, but obviously he's mobile. He was at Virginia Tech prior to coming to Josh Heupel and the offense. And you know who worked well with him, and the name now escapes me, the new USF coach.
Alex Goresh.
Goresh worked with him extensively the last couple of years for what it's worth at Tennessee. And so let's just see. And again, the serious knee injury, where does he get drafted? What do the medical evaluations look like from all the teams that are doing the medical evaluations on when he can come back and play? Let's see what happens with that guy in the mix.
All right. You excited for Rays season?
I'm excited for everything Tampa Bay. So yes, I will end up going to some games. Yes, we're going to get that underway with spring training. And I've not had the chance to say this publicly with you. Let me just say everything that you've said and everybody else has said about Dave Wills and the passing of Dave Wills. Yeah. Here's what you need to know, folks. There are dozens of stories out there. We're doing our best to eliminate as many of them as possible of him helping anybody, anywhere, anytime off the mic. A pro off the mic. As much as you enjoyed Dave and Andy together on the mic calling the Rays games, Dave was even bigger a pro off the mic, helping people, story after story, young broadcasters, whatever. Again, Dave lived only, and I hate saying it in past tense, his family lives only about 5 minutes from me in North Tampa. He was the unelected mayor of his area, his subdivision where he lived. And so, again, this is a blow. This is a blow right here to the Tampa Bay Rays to begin the year without him. I know the players on the field, it's different, but for the whole organization, this is a blow. But they're going to pay tribute to him, do things in his memory. And after all, I still believe in baseball in Tampa Bay, and I know you do too, on what's happening here. And here we go with another season. It all starts anew for everybody else. I'm interested in them, the Buccaneer free agency and the draft, the Lightning hockey, and we get a bracket Sunday night for March Madness in the NCAA tournament, and we got a regional in Orlando about 70 miles away on I-4. I'm all about that. So let's go. Let's go.
Well, the Knowles aren't in it, so I
understand.
Paying a whole lot of attention to it.
My Memphis Tigers could make the tournament and could maybe be in Orlando. You want a trivia question? Oh. Penny Hardaway's last college game, old Orlando Arena, beaten by Western Kentucky 30 years ago this month, Western Kentucky ended Penny Hardaway's career in the Orlando Arena in an upset of Memphis State. Then Penny Hardaway's first NBA game in the Orlando Arena with the Orlando Magic and that Shaquille O'Neal guy. It kind of worked out well for him. Could Memphis make the tournament and be back in Orlando 30 years later, and hopefully Penny doesn't have flashbacks, my friend?
That was 93?
That was 93, brother. We're getting old. That was 93 on Penny.
I should ask Coach Z about that. I'm trying to remember where we went in 93.
Florida State was in the tournament. I can't tell you if they were in Orlando in 93 or where they were, but they were obviously up there in the ACC. Did they not make the Elite Eight in 93 with Douglas Edwards and Cassell and that whole team?
We went all the way to the final 8, yeah, because we went to we got beat by Kentucky in the final 8 with Jamal Mashburn and who's the point guard, Travis
Ford, who's now the coach at St. Louis.
Yeah.
How about this? We're old enough now
that had scored like 3 points all year. Jared Prickett, I think his name was, and hit like 5 threes. And they had everybody. They played so well, and that guy just out of his, and then came
Kentucky
back.
Went on to the Final Four. I'm speaking your language on Sam Cassell, Douglas Edwards, Charlie Ward on that team. Ward on that team. Bob Sura on that team. Florida State 93, and that is Penny Hardaway's last year in college basketball. And Western Kentucky ended it in Orlando. Let's see if Penny and the Tigers can get back in the tournament, and maybe they'll be in Orlando. We'll see where they go.
What do you think? I know you've been doing college basketball all morning, so I'll tap into that real quick before you go. What's your Final Four? Who's surprising? Who have you?
I'm not copping out on you. Do we know? Who do we know that's good? Who do we know that we can count on?
I don't know.
You got Kansas.
Alabama's really good, but
they could lose the first weekend. They could lose in the second round if they're a 1 seed against a 16. Let me see who the draw is on the 8-9. Alabama could lose the first weekend. Purdue could lose the first weekend. Houston looks like a team that is built to maybe be in the Final Four, which is in Houston. Mm-hmm. Kansas is without Bill Self, the coach, but they look like a Final Four team. Bill Self is ill. He's in the hospital. He's not coaching this whole weekend. Kansas is being kind of mysterious about what it is. They're saying it's not a heart attack, but he's not coaching. So that's strange. UCLA is always good, but I mean, do we really know right now who can make the Final Four? I'm not copping out on you. This is going to be a wild tournament. This is as wide open an NCAA tournament for the Final Four and the national champion as maybe the last decade. We don't have a solid idea.
I bet you could pick up some cheap tickets too for that deal in Orlando too. That's going to be fun.
Well, it depends on who comes down here, because like if Kentucky, who's playing in the SEC tournament later tonight, if Kentucky's down here, look out on trying to get a ticket. If a couple of other ones, if Duke ends up down here, look out on trying to get a ticket, and Duke might be here. We'll see.
Interesting stuff. All right, my friend. Thank you very much for your time, as always. And we'll get you in here to co-host next week when Nick's out. So
I'm happy to jump on with you. More March. Listen, have a great weekend. I am off to Atlantic City, my friend. I am headed to do the MAC championship game, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference title game. Rick Pitino and Iona in the semifinals tonight. Are they in the title game? And is Ricky P on the move to a bigger job if they win Saturday night? Let's see what happens.
I asked Z if he would coach at USF. He said, ain't no way. Not in the league they're in now. No way.
Well, right.
Come here.
But there's Big East jobs open. The Georgetown job is open. The St. John's job might come open.
Oh, Rick
Pitino potentially a candidate at one of those? Let's see.
Wow, New York.
I will report back, my friend. Have a great weekend.
You're the best.
And be well. Happy March. Happy Selection Sunday, too, on Sunday.
All right, partner. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. The great TJ.
We'll see
there. All right, let's go. That didn't work out so well. We're gonna get back to the. There we go. All right. We will take another break, our final break, and let's hope this works as well. And we will come back, and we've got some stories to get to. We'll get a little bit. We'll hear from John Cooper after last night's overtime loss, but he was pretty positive, and some other NFL stories. Vita Vea restructured, so we'll get to that when we come back. Lots more coming your way here on the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, Italiano Insurance, and the Golden Diamond Source. Stay with us. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to jeeveslawgroup.com. Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. They don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. You know, for bathing suit season, where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there, you don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, professional staff, you that get results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we roll through this Friday. Hope you guys are having a good one. I want to remind you, Valspar Championship coming up next week. If you've not gotten your tickets, especially the premium ones, Tracy West was on with us yesterday, the tournament director, said those Owl's Nest tickets are almost sold out. So if you want the Hooters Owl's Nest with the free chicken wings and free beer, you got to get those pretty quickly. The rooftop stuff, I think, is sold out for Saturday. They still have general admission tickets for Saturday that you can get. That comes with the Darius Rucker free concert. So I believe tickets are like $45, $50, somewhere in that range. and you get a Darius Rucker concert with that. So that's much cheaper than a Morgan Wallen ticket. By the way, which is $1,000 for a lawn ticket, which I really want to go, but I ain't paying $1,000 for a lawn ticket. So just want to make sure that you guys know as I come back here on camera. A lot of buttons to push here, folks. You gotta remember a lot of different things when my man is not here. There we go. Nick, of course, is out today. If you missed that, he's getting married on Saturday. So, so get to the Valspar and get those tickets now. And Gronk will be up there on the rooftop on Friday. There'll be a lot of celebrities, and there's a list at ValsparChampionship.com of celebs that will be at the rooftop. So it's going to be a great social event, no question about it, not to mention great golf. You can get really up close with the players. Jordan Spieth's going to be out there. Justin Thomas. Might be a few more added to the list today. Justin Rose committed. It's going to be a great field. Always is. Even though it's kind of sandwiched in between some of the big events, there's still going to be a great vibe out there. So go on out there. Joel Damon, who's become famous because of the Netflix series Full Swing, he will be out there with his caddy, Gino. They'll have a big following. Matt Kuchar's coming with his caddy who lives here locally. So going to be a fun week out there. Ronde Barber is going to be honored on Thursday, and that'll be a fun party. Friday is St. Patrick's Day with Gronk out there and green beer and the rooftop spinning music and announcing the players as they come up. They're trying to get a real cool vibe going there. And then Saturday is the Darius Rucker, and then, of course, Sunday is the Weekend Champion. So Valspar coming up next week. The PGA Tour is in town, so get your tickets now. And at the Players Championship, as we check in there, love watching the Players and 17 and all that stuff. Ben Griffin is still at the top at -8, 3 under today, coming to the 17th hole. So good luck with that, my friend. Colin Morikawa, 7 under par. He tees off here at 12:45. Chad Ramey, who shot 64 yesterday, was the overnight leader. He tees off at 107. Jason Day is 5 under, 3 under today. It's tough going out there. Victor Hovland was 5 under today. He's moved back a little bit, but is at 5 under par, 3 off the pace. So we'll keep you posted on that as we watch it on the week. Some of the other guys looking to move up today. Scotty Scheffler's at 4 under. He tees off in the afternoon, so I'll be watching him this afternoon. Sam Burns, who's the 2-time defending champion at the Valspar, is at 3 under par, +1 today. Some other big names. Justin Rose at 69 yesterday. He'll be coming to the Valspar. He goes off at 107. Gary Woodland committed last week. He's at 2 under par. Cameron Young, -2. Looking for some of the other big names. Jordan Spieth is at 1 under through 12. He's +2 today. Not good. John Rahm is 1 under par. He will play in the afternoon. He's going to have to make a move on some of these leaders to get in the hunt for the weekend. The number 1 player in the world. So he tees off at 12:56. Should be good viewing this afternoon for you golf fans. A lot of big names will be going on in the afternoon, Friday afternoon. Xander Schauffele as even par. Who else? Zalatoris even through 13 today. So he's -2, not having a good day out there. So lots of good golf. The weather should be good next week for the Valspar as well. The other big news here, Vita Vea has restructured his contract to give the Bucks about, looks like, $12 million in cap space to work with. But that still puts them, see if I can get this right, about $9 million. So about $9 million, which puts them at $49 million over the cap still. Wow, they got a lot of work to do. I don't know if that includes his $9 million savings or not, but they got even with that, it's $40 million that they got to clear off the cap. That's why there's just everything that you Bucks fans want them to do, they really can't do because this huge Brady charge of $35 million. He could have helped the Bucks out by not doing the retirement thing and letting him spread it out till after June 1st or retiring after June 1st, I think it is. But he didn't want. I'm guessing he didn't want the Bucks to have any rights over him. And I'm not. I got to be honest with you. I'm not exactly sure how that works. But from how it's been explained to me, that he could have, if he's not going to play, for sure not going to play, then he could have spread it out over 2 years, and it would have helped out the Bucks. So, maybe he's helping out the Bucks by just forcing them to take their medicine now, and things will ease up later on. But I can just tell you this: they would have a lot more options for this season if they didn't have to eat that 35, because I think it would have been 10 this year and then 24 next year. But the cap's going to go up probably $25 million next year, so it really would have given them a lot of room, and that's not going to be the case. All right, we got to take one more break here. When we come back, not even sure if that's it. Stand by. Here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. You don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we wrap things up here. A couple of news and notes to get to. The Saints have given Jameis Winston a deadline of, I think, tomorrow to decide on what he wants to do to take a restructured deal. They can save $12.8 million on the cap if they cut him. They don't want to cut him. They want to have him as the backup to Derek Carr. But it looks like he could hit free agency. Any interest, Tampa Bay fans, Buccaneer fans, to battle with Kyle Trask? I mean, look, throw out all, your hate or whatever and look at the numbers. And if he's healthy, do you want him here? I just think the personality, the big personality, his teammates love him. They still do. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. Trask is going to get all the opportunity to play. But and I don't think it's out of the realm that Jameis would come in here and light it up if he's given the opportunity to play in preseason, right? It's totally vanilla defenses. They're not game planning for you. He would thrive in that opportunity. He would look great. He'd throw the ball downfield to Mike Evans, and they'd score points. But is that the real Jameis Winston when these, defenses are setting him up with decoys and getting pick sixes like we saw many, many times? And I thought he was, really good under Sean Payton, but he was really controlled. I mean, Sean Payton was not allowing him to throw the ball down the field much, but that's, that was a successful way to handle Jameis Winston. So he's going to be out there, or he's going to sign a deal with the Saints. I don't know why he would go back there, given the situation with Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr gets hurt, you're right in there. But Carr's been pretty durable. He's a pretty durable guy. He knows how to stay healthy. So I don't know, but he's definitely going to be out there on the market, I think, if he wanted to be. And his agent's already, checking with other teams and see if there's any interest, because there's teams that need quarterbacks, and all he needs is a shot. So we'll see if that happens for him. Darius Slay from the Eagles has been given the opportunity to seek a trade, although they want to bring him back. Kind of sounds like a Devin White deal. And I don't know if the Bucs have given his Devin White's team the go-ahead to seek a trade, but maybe they should, to see what they can get, see what the market is for Devin White. Because, again, I think Devin and his representatives want big, 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 big money. And why shouldn't they? If they feel they can go get it and go test the market. This is where the market and your love of the player kind of intersect. And even if Todd Bowles loves the player, you got to look at what the market is going to bear. And if somebody wants to pay him elite money as a linebacker, I'm not sure the Bucs are in position to do that right now or really want to do that. It's not a luxury that they can afford in the salary cap situation that they're in. What else did I want to get to? I don't know if we have time now. We really don't. I was going to play you some John Cooper, so we'll just get to some of the other stories that are out there. I was looking at a thread we were talking about Kyle Trask. I was looking at a thread from J.C. Cornell, and he says, statistically, Trask had a very impressive 2020 season, Heisman Trophy candidate finalist, took the Gators to the Cotton Bowl, an 8-4 record, threw for 4,200 yards, 4,283, 43 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Those numbers are off the chart. I remember, I think Joe Burrow's numbers were almost exactly the same. I think maybe he got to 50 touchdowns, so pretty similar numbers. Completed 69% of his passes, had a passer rating of 180.1, which was the highest in the nation. I mean, if Kyle Trask is coming out this year playing in the SEC with those kind of numbers, is he Will Levis? Same size, way more productivity, way more wins. Not a strong arm now as Will Levis, who threw it at 69 miles an hour. But the numbers are undeniable. I mean, people who think he's trash, look at those numbers. You don't throw for 4,300 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 8 picks. It's 70%, almost 70% completion percentage if you're trash in the SEC. So I'm just interested to see this guy play. I know I keep whining about that Atlanta game, but, man, I would have liked to see him play in that game. Comparing Trask's performance to his opponents, he was one of the top quarterbacks in the country in 2020, ranked in the top 5 nationally in yards, touchdowns, completion percentage, and passer rating. He also had several standout performances against top-ranked opponents, including throwing for 474 and 4 touchdowns in a loss to Alabama. I mean, I know you're not super excited about it, but maybe you should be. All right, that'll do it for today. Hope you guys have enjoyed me doing the solo thing. Well, we don't want to do that. I'm trying to find the old bumper music for the way out. Let's see if we can get it. No, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. We'll try that. Nope, that's not it either. Anyway, we'll say goodbye for now, folks. Have a great weekend. Go Bolts this weekend, and we will chat with you on Monday.